Well, hello everyone. My name is Ravae Sinclair, and I am one of the hosts of Doula That podcast. And today I am here to help you Doula That. Specifically, I'm solo today. I'm coming to you to talk with you about something that it impacted Denise and I, the other co-hosts, but she has seemed to resolve her matter. So I'm coming to you solo because my matter is not resolved, and I think you should know a few things. Today, we are talking about scammers. Now, we're in this birth space, and, between the online world and an unregulated birth world, you're going to a time or two have some money taken, perhaps, by people who are less than honest and don't always have your best interest in mind. There's opportunities to take everywhere, and sometimes, as a birth worker, you may find that you are in that pool, having been taken. So I'm coming to you as a person who was taken. I was taken for about $2,000. Now, let me say this. Tip number one, have no shame. If you've been taken advantage of and somebody's stolen from you, I want to encourage you to not feel shame about it, but to shout it out. I'm shouting it out today, okay? I think you should shout it out, one, because generally you might not have done everything to protect yourself, but I'm going to say if you went into a situation expecting to get a product or a service, well-intended, then you haven't done anything wrong. And so you have nothing to feel ashamed about. The shame is on the people who do the taking. So I'm going to tell you a little story today about someone who is active in the birth world. I'm going to name names because I think you should know. I think consumers need to know. And midwifery students, midwives, doulas, birth workers in general are her target audience. And so because we share the same target audience, I may save some of you from being taken to the bank. Okay. So it's story time. So I had a really great idea, and I pulled in my co-host, Denise Bowles. I pulled her in to say, let's be more thoughtful next year. When we get to the end of the year, let's take a break. I saw this ad. I saw a promotion on a website of someone who seemed to be doing conferences and skills and drills and doing all this great stuff. And I'm like, hey, let's take some time at the end of next year and go on a retreat. Like, let's not work ourselves to the bone, get to the end of the year, start having to think about like grinding for the next year and setting goals and doing vision boards. No. Let's not do that. Let's take a moment to rest. And the beauty of the timing of this was it was supposed to be next week, the middle of November. We would have gone on our trip and then come home and, which is typically at that time, the start of the holiday season. So we would have taken our break before other people had taken their break, which would have given us a chance to even deepen our rest. And, I'm here for Black women resting. And so we made a whole plan. And so we signed up. And thankfully, because I know a thing or two about needing receipts, I screenshot, the website. And I was a little disappointed. I got a financial receipt back for the deposit, but I actually didn't get like a contract, to say what we had agreed to. Nevertheless, I got my screenshots. And so we had the dates and we were very happy. Payments happened in January, February, March, and April and May, June. We get to July and I'm thinking, hey, we haven't heard anything about this retreat. No updates, no nothing. And so Denise says, yeah, you're right. I guess we have it. And so it was kind of on our radar, but it's the summertime. We're doing some other things. And then we get an announcement. And I'm thinking the announcement came in early August, late July. I'm not exactly sure, but a payment had already come out of my account in early July. So it seems like maybe the end of July, early August, we got an announcement that the conference that was supposed to happen in New Orleans changed to virtual. And I saw that and I said, something's up with that. And I figured that it was probably low enrollment, right? Because, you've got to meet all these minimums when you're at a hotel and conference center. So I thought, okay, in a conversation with Denise, I mentioned it. And I said, I wonder if that's going to affect the retreat, because the way it was scheduled, there was supposed to be the conference and then a week of skills and drills or a couple days of skills and drills. I can't remember the exact time frame. But then a trip to Belize, a retreat to Belize with birth workers. And I thought, okay, this is going to be great. But when I saw that the conference had changed to virtual, I thought, I wonder if that's going to impact the retreat to Belize. So Denise said, yeah, you're right. I wonder. We both went on. We had lots going on, right? So we kind of went on, and a couple days went by before, I can't remember if Denise saw it or if I saw it, but at any rate, I went to the website and I saw that the conference date had been changed on the website. I think it was me that found it. So it went from middle of November. The dates changed on the website to February 2025. Well, there's a big difference between having 10 months to plan to be away from your business, away from clients, not taking clients, planning your money, getting plane tickets and things like that. There's one thing to be planning for November 2024 and a very different thing to be planning for February 2025. So for one, I have clients in February. For two, that's just a terrible time for me to travel. And of course, besides being disappointed about the change in the travel dates, I was disappointed that she didn't even notify us. And then that's when I realized, oh my gosh, she hasn't communicated with us at all. Like, we've been making payments since January. It's August. We haven't heard anything. Okay. So that started the ball rolling. Denise emailed her. Oh, by the way, let me tell you the person's name. I've been holding out on you. But some of you, if you're in the birth world and you're active, you may have figured it out. The midwife's name is Augustine Colebrook. And let me emphasize that before I go on with the story. I had been watching Augustine because she had a conference out in Colorado. People were so happy. It was like one of the first in-person conferences after the pandemic. And so people were really excited. They were like, it was amazing. So I've been watching her, and she's a great storyteller, right? Very empathetic. You can hear her trauma, her sadness around her family. She doesn't really stay in contact with her family. There's all these things that, make her, somewhat endearing, and people feel connected. And so she's in India now working on a birth center and, giving all these beautiful highlights. And I think that's great, except guess what? She took our money and hasn't given it back. Now, this is a conversation that we're having, remember, August, September, about a trip that's supposed to happen in November. So when she changed the dates, I was entitled to a refund, even though the initial language said non-refundable. Well, when you materially change the contract, even if it's a verbal agreement, all bets are off. She made the change. She broke the contract. I'm entitled to my money back. So we requested the money. Denise did it by email. I did as well. Now I'm going to kind of stick to what I did since Denise isn't here. She has a very different experience than I, and there's some lessons I want to share with you about that. But I emailed her and said, hey, here's a screenshot. You changed the date. This is unacceptable. I'm not available. I want my money back. I'm formally requesting in writing my money back. She agreed. She never debated whether I should get my refund. She agreed. She went on to ask me how I wanted, what platform I wanted to receive my refund. She specifically said, do you want it back by PayPal or Zelle? I chose Zelle. I emailed her 2 or 3 more times to say, well, okay, so a couple days ago, you told me you would give me my refund. I confirmed to you that I wanted it through Zelle. When is it coming? When can I expect it? Now, she didn't answer the question initially. She was having some correspondence with Denise that I'll dip into just a little bit here in a moment. But I specifically said, I want a date. When she did come back to me about a date, she said, I hope to be able to give you the money at the end of November. It's August, September. What are you talking about the end of November? That's even after the trip was supposed to happen. So you don't have my money? Now, I knew she didn't have my money because of the correspondence she was having with Denise. Now, so I'll insert some of Denise's stuff, just a bit here. So Denise had corresponded with her and said, I expect my money to be in the account in the next 48 hours or 72 hours. I can't remember the time frame. And Augustine replied and said, well, that's not going to happen. I'm running a business and I have to pay my employees. or unless you want me to pay you, I'll have to close my business and I'll file bankruptcy and it'll take years for you to get your money. What? You're threatening bankruptcy? You won't give me back my money that I freely gave you for a retreat. And now you're telling me I'm not a priority because you need to pay your employees? And you're threatening bankruptcy? Unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. And really a rookie move for her to put that in writing like that. Denise, thankfully, this is a lesson. She paid for her trip on her American Express card. So she did it on a business credit card, which then allowed her company, credit card company, to be an advocate for her. And they gave her provisional credit back on her credit card. So she got her money replaced. I paid for it through my business debit card, which meant that money came out of my operating bank account. Well, charges that are old, you only have a certain time frame by which you can challenge a charge. So a January, February, March, April, May, charge was too late for me to challenge. Okay. So I didn't do my challenge right away because I was like, well, maybe she'll just give the money. She'll be a good human. So I replied to her and I said, listen, I'm a Black birth worker, small business owner, single person. I'm doing this all by myself. I need my money. If you are not going to make good on your promise to give us a retreat in November, I need my money back. So she didn't respond. Okay. So I'm sitting here like, wow, like she's really taking my money. So we're watching her social media and we're seeing, oh, this celebration of the birth center. This is going great. And we know that on social media, people do the highlights. But behind the scenes, I'm like, is she serious? Okay. So I have a lot going on, busy life. And I'm like, I have this dread. And I was like, let me just watch and see what she does. Surely she's going to give us our money back. Well, I watched this chargeback process with Denise where I don't think she challenged it, but she at least not acknowledged that the chargeback was being processed. And so I'm like, okay, maybe she understands that we mean business, that we're serious. She's going to give us our money back. Give me my money back. Nothing, crickets. So I let a couple weeks go by and I'm like, hey, I actually need my money. Like, are you listening? Are you really not going to reply to me? Crickets, nothing. So fast forward, so one of the things that I did, so this is part of the lesson, I did pay for this trip on a business debit card. And so when I stopped authorizing the transactions, one of the mistakes I made was I should have stopped any future payments from being able to come through, but I didn't imagine in any world that she would try to take more money. And yes, folks, 2 months later, after the last transaction in July, so she didn't take a payment in August. She didn't take a payment in September. She wasn't authorized. I look up in early October to a $600 charge coming out of my bank account. So I'm working with my bank and they're saying, well, okay, two things come up. This 60-day later charge is under a different business name. So she's playing games. But now I have to cancel the debit card to stop all transactions to make sure that even if she's blocked under Midwifery Wisdom Collective, she still now can't also do a charge under another business, which is what she was able to do because I didn't cancel the card. I didn't think she would try to take more money. For God's sake, not only you're not giving me the money that you already took at the time that I requested the refund, but you take more? Like, this is just unconscionable. And she did the same thing to Denise. Again, Denise's company was able to advocate for her and give her provisional credit. But it's the fact that we have to spend time fighting to keep our money from someone who's not entitled to it. But she had the nerve, yes, after 60 days to take another $600 out of my account. And when I emailed her about that, silence. Well, folks, you got to imagine my deep disappointment, to be really honest, like a deep disappointment and sadness and frustration to look up a week later and see that she's on a month-long trip to Bali, living her best life, swimming right now, today. This episode is going to come out, and you can go to her social media and see her swimming and diving and simultaneously asking you all for money to attend her conference. She wants your money to attend a conference that is now virtual, and yet she's got 2 Black birth workers that she's stealing money from, holding on to their money, not giving money back for no reason. She's collecting and then also taking unauthorized. So I'm going to actually call it what it is, which is stealing, and not communicating. It's one thing if you said, I don't have it, but I will do my best. Let's make payments. I probably would have accepted that, even though that's unacceptable. But I probably would have accepted that. She said nothing, knows good and well she owes us money, and is living her best life doing whatever she wants. So I'm going to put that in the category, if this is not a mistake, after you take an additional $600, I'm going to say that is intentional. So that is stealing. And my being diplomatic is over. Thus, I'm coming to you all. I'm coming to you all to make sure that you know who you're buying from, who you're buying services from. I know as midwifery students, it's hard to find places where you can get skills and drills and do all of that. And people need CEUs and credits. But I just want you to be an informed consumer. I want you to think about who you're buying from. I don't have any skin in the game. I don't even know this woman really. I was just trying to take a retreat, trying to take a vacation. And my God, if people don't understand how Black women need to rest, have you not been paying attention? Yeah. Okay. I'm frustrated that I did what I was supposed to do, communicated, did nothing wrong, and I'm having $2,000 taken from me. And it's just wrong. And so if you're thinking about going to Midwifery Wisdom Collective, anything in the next few months, if you're thinking about giving Augustine Colebrook your money, I want you to rethink it. I want you to rethink it. Because when you give people money for a service, they should communicate with you about when you're going to get the service. And if you're not going to get the service, when are you going to get your refund? Now, I'm a birth worker. I'm an agency owner. I'm dealing with that now with clients who didn't maybe get the service that they wanted. I'm like, okay, well, let's come to an agreement about a refund. There is and should be constant communication until you get to resolution. That is the respectful thing to do. I understand small businesses have cash flow issues. I get it. Like, trust me, I get it. I have teams in 4 different cities. I get it. And like I said, I'm independent. No bank loans, no credit card. I'm doing all this on cash, which is one of the mistakes. So one of the lessons, when you do this, do it on a credit card. Have advocacy so that you can get help when you need it. Have lawyers on your team. Have people who will help you recover money when people steal from you, because you stay in business long enough, people will steal money from you. Now, I hadn't really had this happen because I have a lot of checks and balances in my system, but trust me, I'm not going to get caught with this like this again. You can bet that. So here we are, folks. I just wanted to be able to give people a chance to understand who they're doing business with, give people a chance to maybe change their minds and say, hey, I'm going to stand in solidarity with another birth worker that until you do right by her, I'm not going to do business with you. I think people should know. And Augustine, if you want to have a conversation, my inbox has been open for weeks, 2 months to be exact. I'm happy to hear what you want to do to give me the rest of my money back. Now, here's the other thing, you all. I then, having worked with my bank about the $600 that totally was clearly not authorized, also under a new business name, they were able to do a chargeback process and were able to help me do a chargeback process for the June and July charge. So I may be in a position, takes 30, 45 days. I may be in a position to get $1,000 back, but by force. She's not giving me my money willingly. And even after that, she'll still owe me $1,000, which who knows if I'll ever get it. It's frustrating. And I have a lot of emotion, and I'm not even displaying the sadness and the dismay, but trust me, it's there. I'm pissed. I am really so tired of working hard in partnership with people who call themselves allies and getting screwed. So some of you know my story, my journey with Donut International and having worked as a volunteer full-time hours for no pay and being dismissed unceremoniously on the first day of Black Maternal Health Week, along with Denise Bowles, who was the president at the time. Knowing that that's part of my history and my story, I have no bandwidth for the shenanigans that happen to Black women in this birth space. So this would have been painful if anybody had done it. It is extra painful for someone who would call herself and acts like she's an ally. It's super painful. But I will not, let me be clear, I will not give anyone the satisfaction to see tears drop from these eyes. But that doesn't mean that the pain isn't real, and that doesn't mean that I don't deserve my money. So I just, again, want to give you some tips to protect yourself from scamming. So think about credit. If some of y'all are probably way ahead of the curve, but think about having a business credit card, doing these transactions so that you actually have advocates and a built-in system to protect you if the project falls through. And I'm going to say, I don't even know why it fell through, and I don't care. It doesn't matter. I'm not even judging her for that. The issue is that when it fell through, she did not communicate with us. We had to find out. We had to reach out to her. There are other people who this has happened to. So if you all are listening, I would love to hear what your experience has been with this, because mine has been fairly cruddy. I wonder if the other 3 people, she mentioned that there were 5 people signed up. So I'm wondering if the other 3 people got their money back and I'm just at the bottom of the list or not making the list at all. I wonder. But we had to find out, we had to reach out, and now she's gone silent. And then on top of that, after 60 days of knowing that we want a refund, she intentionally, the transaction is under a new business name and $600 more comes out of the bank account. It just feels like I can't keep giving you the benefit of the doubt. I can't keep acting like this is on an accident. And I'm not even accepting that, hey, my team, or it was an automatic recurring transaction, because they don't skip. 2 months got skipped. So that's not what happens. And you can't blame it on your team. I've been corresponding directly with Augustine. She knows the deal. So if you knew that to cancel, all recurring transactions should have been canceled. Everything should have been handled. And she also knew that we weren't playing games with our money because Denise did a chargeback. Now, I don't know if she knows that we know each other, but at any rate, all of this is unacceptable. So I just want you all to be informed consumers. You're signing up for that conference. She's heavy in the promotions and, celebrating her birthday in Bali. Good for her, because I'm not able to take my restful retreat that I paid for. That sounds like it's probably paying for her Bali trip now. And it just, insult to injury 2 days after this election. That's all I got to say. So protect yourselves, you guys. Think about ways that you can make sure that something is legit, that people are reliable and trustworthy with your investment. I'm like everybody else. I work very hard for my money, and I don't deserve for somebody to just take it and go off to Bali. It's not how this works. So be an informed consumer, be a conscientious consumer, and think about how you can protest, how you can support me in getting my money back. Maybe you can raise your voice. Maybe you can talk to her if you're her friend. Maybe you can bring this to the forefront if you are a part of a community that she belongs to. Because this, y'all, it ain't right. And I also keep receipts. So be careful, be mindful. And if you have a moment, send up a little prayer that she makes it right. It would be really great to get my money back. It sure would. All right, everybody. That's all for this episode of Doula That. I hope that you never find yourself in this situation, but we know this happens. Denise and I have talked about other scenarios in the birth world, and we're probably going to talk more explicitly about them because I have now decided we're naming names. So join us for future episodes where you can learn how to better doula that. Okay, everybody. See you next time.